Hello and welcome to episode 32 of Stitched in Sweden. I'm Maria, your host, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as mmonska. The show notes for this week's episode and previous episodes can be found on the blog, which is stitchedinsweden.blogspot.com. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this week in Stockholm, some works in progress, one finished object, some upcoming knitting plans, and I think that's about it. So let's get started. This week we had the very exciting release of the Do shawl along with the kits. This was a collaboration project with Maya from the Wool Barn, and I showed you the shawl last week, but I will just show it to you here again so that you know what I'm talking about. This is the shawl. It is a 5 wedged shawl. So the result is a slightly more than semi-circular shawl, which makes it really perfect for especially wearing over your shoulders as a shawl if you would like, because it comes around the front just a little bit more and doesn't fall off then. But this shawl, like I said, was a collaboration with Maya, and we had the release of the kits on Thursday evening that went really well, and I would just like to thank all of you who came by and purchased a kit. It was really exciting, and it was really nice to have such a great response from you guys. So we actually have now opened some pre-order slots for the kits over on Maya's Etsy shop, which is the Wool Barn on Etsy, and you can order kits for October, and then that's it. So it will be limited edition kits, and I showed you a picture of them last week, but they have the bag with the design logo on them for the shawl. The same design is on the little tin where you have some stitch markers and a little notepad. There's a wool wash and, of course, the yarn. So the shawl comes in 2 sizes, and if you're interested in knitting the larger size, there are some pre-orders for the large size as well as the small size. But yes, very exciting, and I am looking forward to seeing some of those shawls getting started. I know I've seen a couple of you have already received your packages, which is lovely, because I know that getting a package from Maya is always nice. So that was the Do shawl, and there is actually a giveaway happening in the Ravelry group. I have posted a question there, and this will be open until October 10th, where you can enter to win one of the kits. And there's a question there for you to answer, and there's already a lot of fun answers so far, so I'll let you go over there and take a look, and you can contribute if you'd like. I have given away a couple of patterns, copies of the Do pattern on Instagram, and I will be drawing for a pattern from the episode thread last week and post that in Ravelry, so you will also receive a pattern. Let's see, I also drew for the Agatha socks, and I put that all on the Ravelry board as well. And I have drawn for the lovely Verdure shawl from Isabel of Fluffy Fibers, and I drew that out of the Shawl Season Cal Chatter thread. So I will do that for her other shawl too. We have a copy of the Bon Bon Shawlette to give away, which is her newest pattern. And So it's not for a finished object or anything, but just in the chatter thread, because so many of you are sharing your progress on what shawls you're working on for the beginning of fall here. So it's really nice to see. So this week in Stockholm, I had my exam on Friday, which went pretty well, I think, and it was quite different. It's my first exam that I've taken in Sweden, besides my Swedish classes, which were not at a university, so they were, I guess, a little bit less serious. But it was quite interesting to see the difference in the exam environment, I guess, here compared to my experience taking exams before in the US. It was very strict in terms of you had to make sure all your belongings were over at the coat rack and you couldn't have your phone near you, and you had to show your ID and they wrote down your name when you went to the bathroom, and we were sitting in like a gymnasium, and the desks were all like 5 feet apart, and it was very strict, I guess. But I think it went pretty well. It just was a little bit something to get used to, I guess, being in that sort of testing environment, because to me it made it seem more stressful than I think that it needed to be. Of course, it's an exam, so you have to be serious and no cheating, but yeah, I don't know. It just seemed to add to the pressure of the environment by having this like really strict setup. So that was a little bit interesting, but whatever. I think it went well, and I'm starting a new class tomorrow. So yeah, we will see how that goes. On Saturday, we decided to take a break from, Thomas has still been studying all weekend, that's why he's gone now. We decided to take a break and walk down to a little cafe that we have here on our island, and it's a little combination cafe gift shop type thing, and they have some women's clothing as well. And we had a delicious lunch with chanterelle mushrooms and cheese in a like panini sort of, with a spinach salad that had some beets in it as well. It was really good. And then we had some cinnamon rolls, because today is cinnamon roll day in Sweden. Anyway, but it was a nice little break, and it's fun to go down to that cafe. So, and I bought a dress, so I think it will be a nice fall dress that I can wear with tights and some knitted socks and my little short black boots and my succulent shawl, probably. But for the rest of the weekend, I have just been having a nice, relaxing knitcation. I was watching Kristen Volenbein from the Yarngasm podcast, and she was talking about how she used to take some knitcations every once in a while, and just stay at home and knit all day, which is pretty much what I have been doing since Friday around lunchtime when I finished my test. I also babysat a little bit, but whatever. Mostly knitting. So what I've been working on is, I can show you, this is my Loop London bag that I got while I was in London this summer. And I have worked only a little bit on my Wheaton wrap, but it's still happening. I really would like to maybe get another ball of this yarn wound up today so that I can keep going with it. It has grown maybe slightly since the last time you saw it. Here's my marker. But I don't remember if I moved the marker after I showed you before, because I sort of don't think so. I still have a little bit of the second ball left, and it will be 5 skeins total. But it's really nice to work on, but this week I just felt like I needed a little bit more, not mindless knitting, but just something that I could sort of see quicker progress on. I don't really know how to explain it, but it just wanted something that, yeah, I don't know, that I guess that I would notice more progress on, just because, I don't know, I guess I don't have to have a reason. I just wanted to work on something else. So I cast on my Oshima pullover by Jared Flood, and this is a pattern that my mom bought for me and gave me for Christmas last year, and she gave me the yarn as well. I'm knitting this out of Cascade yarns, which is in, I have it in the Cascade 220 fingering, which I don't know why they still call it Cascade 220. Maybe it's just because, like, that's sort of the brand that they have created. But it's 100% Peruvian Highland wool, 50 grams per skein, and it's 250 meters, 273 yards. So it's not even 220 meters or yards. So I don't really know why they call it that. But anyway, this is in the, oh, it doesn't say the color on here, but I think it's called, like, Mystic Purple or something. It's color number 2450, in case you're interested. But it is a lovely purple. There's the tag if you want to look at it. And it's a nice heathered purple. And I am knitting this held double for this pullover. So I have, let's see, I've already used 4 skeins and I have 5 more, so I have 9 total. I think I will probably have 1 or 2 left over in the end, but that's okay. So I swatched for this last, I think in January or December or something. I think it's one of the first things that I had on my podcast. And I had swatched both in stockinette, which again, the yarn is held doubled, and also in the brioche, which is the stitch pattern for the chest, and then also there's a huge brioche cowl in this pullover. So, yes. But I have 2 sleeves. And here they are. Not so much to see. But I started with the sleeves so that, you don't get that pullover is finished except for the sleeves, because that has happened to me before. And I'm not going to pull it all the way on, but I did do a tubular cast on as suggested in the pattern. In the pattern, it suggests to knit the cuff and then knit it so that it can be cuffed up once, like fold it over. Instead, I just knit it longer, and I realized that I really like when the ribbing on a cuff is around 4 inches long or so, like this length. This is how it is on my Pomme de Pin cardigan, which I've been wearing a lot lately, and it fits me well, and I just enjoy it, so I decided to do that for this one as well. The sleeve does go all the way up, but I'm not going to pull it up quite up all the way. And this will be a seamed set-in sleeve for this sweater. That's why, obviously it's not attached, so I'm going to have to seam this up. But I find that the instructions in Jared Flood's patterns, which this is by him, I don't know if I said that, are really good, and he gives really precise instructions for how you should do seaming and things like that, or just everything really, but including the seaming part, Whereas some patterns I find are just like, okay, knit these pieces and then seam them together. And he gives really specific instructions of how you should seam them, what kind of edge you should use. This is like a garter bump edge for the seaming. And anyway, so it's a really well written pattern, and I enjoy it. So these sleeves flew by. I have 2 of them, like I said, and I mean, mostly because I'm knitting these on, I did the ribbing on a US 7 and the body, or this part, on a US 9. So, quite large needles, especially compared to what I have been using lately for other projects. I don't know, I don't use above size 5 that often, I would say. Which I don't know what it is in millimeters right now. Sorry. But I do know that a 7 is a 4.5 millimeter needle. And I have been knitting this pullover on my Hiya Sharp interchangeables. Here's one of the needles. That's the size 7. I really like the tips on these. And up to the 7s, I think, or the 8s maybe, you have this small, they're for the smaller sizes, so you have this tiny screw. And then I wanted to show you the difference for the larger sizes, because you can, if you buy the small size of the Hiya set, interchangeable set, but you need a couple of the large sizes, like, for me it doesn't make sense to buy the large size because I hardly ever use those larger needles, so I didn't want to buy the whole separate set, because then you need separate, well, whatever, I didn't want to buy the whole set. If you want to supplement your small interchangeable set with some of the larger sizes, a cool thing that you can do is get these connector adapters. So this is my size 9, and I'll unscrew it here, and you'll see that the screw part is huge compared to the small set, even though this is only, so this is a 5.5 millimeter and a 4.5 millimeter. So they're not that big difference in diameter, but the screw part is. So this requires the larger screw for the cords. But if you have only the small cords, like I did, because I had the small set, so it just screws in right there. You can buy this little adapter, which makes it so you can, sorry, this is getting complicated. It makes it so that you can screw the large needle into the adapter and get the small tip, so that you can also screw that into your normal cords. So I find that really useful, because like I said, I have like size 9s and 10s maybe, but other than that I don't think I've ever used my size 10 needles, and I really mostly use under 5. So anyway, these needles are on the body of the sweater, which I have also knit a lot on. This wasn't even, I didn't even have this in progress last week. I was just planning on casting it on. But you can see that I already have quite a lot of the body finished. I don't know why it's so hard to hold it up, but I don't want to drop the needles. And this is one of our Do stitch markers on there. That's one of the ones in the kit, you can see. So here's the bottom ribbing, and I also did a tubular cast on for this, and I have just been knitting away. I am knitting the smallest size, which I think is 34 inches or 33 inches, I can't remember. But my gauge is slightly different, so I've done the math and everything for that. It will turn out to the right size, I hope. But the fabric is really nice and squishy. You can just kind of see that because it is doubled. The yarn just has a nice loftiness to it, and I'm knitting it at a rather loose gauge, I guess. Could sort of see through it if I like pulled it really. But anyway, I think it will be nice and warm, and I'm looking forward to having that huge brioche cowl neck. Just to show you like how fast this is going, I maybe knit for an hour this morning and I got that far. So it's just really going fast and I'm loving it. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. I probably could have finished the body last night, but I got obsessed with looking at colorwork mitten patterns, and I was stuck on Ravelry for like 2 hours. It was bad. I'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But first, I want to show you my pattern notebook, because I haven't showed you this in a while. This is one of my notebooks that I keep with some patterns in it. And I think I showed you I don't know if I showed you my succulent page. This is the original schematic picture that I draw out by hand with a 0.005 size needle. Not needle. Pen tip. I think I showed you my Cybella pullover page that I had done. And I just like drawing my own little schematics too, even when the pattern isn't my own. My wheaten wrap is still sort of in progress. That's it. And here is my Oshima. So I've written some notes about how this was a pattern and yarn from my mom, and I wrote notes about the tubular cast on that I used, because I find that a lot of times I want to start using the tubular cast on all the time, but I always have to look up how to do it. So I thought maybe if I write it out, then at least I know somewhere where I can go to it and find it, one that works really well for me, and perhaps by writing it out I will remember it more. And I have also done a little drawing, so that's sort of what the pullover looks like. But yeah, so I thought I would show you that again because I haven't shown you it for a little while, and I have some new projects in there. So my finished object this week, since it wasn't in my works in progress, you probably know what it is, but I did finish the sweater that I have been knitting for Theodore, Thomas's nephew. So here it is, and it looks terrible with the light right now. Okay, there, it's a little bit better, because it is really deep black. Yeah, that's pretty good. But it gets really blown out like that. Anyway, I knit this in Yaku 416 fingering, which is a superwash yarn, and I'll just show you it like that. You can see the yoke is a gray gradient, just like I hoped it would be, and I think it turned out pretty nice. You can't see exactly how it is, but there you go. It's a little better. I hope that it fits him. I think it will be definitely on the big side for now, but that it will give him a little room to grow into it. And I hope it fits over his head. That is the main thing that I'm concerned about, I guess. But, you know, I didn't cut the last and for the collar in case it doesn't fit over his head and I need to redo that part. It won't be a problem if I do, but yeah, we will see. And I think that I will probably wait and give this to them. I know they're watching, so whatever. I'll probably give that to them after I finish his little sisters, which I have not started, but I probably will start this week or next week. We will see. So again, that was a design or sweater that I improvised based on old design of Swedish bohus tradition of knitting. But it was a lot of fun to do that. So I hope they like it. So upcoming, I really want to knit a pair of colorwork gloves because I have a pair of gloves which is the S-Bloom gloves, which is a pattern by Julia Mueller, I think, and actually all of her patterns used to be paid for patterns on Ravelry, and it's quite sad, I think. Well, it's sad but happy. All of the patterns are now available for free, and she has some beautiful glove patterns if you are interested in knitting gloves. But she just closed her shop and made everything available for free because she didn't want to deal with the EU VAT situation. And now that's been sort of resolved, so I don't know, it's sad to me that she sort of had to give up and do that. But she has really beautiful patterns and now they're available for free. So you should definitely check them out if you are interested in knitting gloves. I have a pair of gloves that I knit in one of her patterns, which is the S-Bloom gloves, and I don't have them with me, but they are sort of a medium, like cornflower blue, and down the cuff there's like cables that start and they fade into just plain stockinette. So the cuff is nice and tight with cables, and they're just really pretty, and I didn't enjoy knitting the fingers at all. They were not fun to knit. But I wear those gloves all the time in the winter, and I wear them more than my mittens because I think they're warmer, and also they're just more practical when you're trying to reach into your pocket and get out your bus pass or whatever. For me, they are more practical. So I was just stuck on the fact that I wanted to knit some colorwork gloves last night. So I was on Ravelry looking around, and there really are hardly any colorwork gloves that appeal to me. I know that not so many people knit gloves, but I was just surprised that there was really hardly any patterns. So that was kind of too bad, but I think that I will be able to figure something out and make some. I might just make some more mittens because I also just like knitting colorwork mittens, but I think it would be really nice to have some gloves, and my S-Bloom ones actually have a little rip here that I need to, I can darn it, but I also just want another pair of gloves. And that's allowed, right? So I was like obsessively looking at all of these mitten patterns and seeing if I could maybe take a pattern that was for like fingerless mitts and then just, make plain fingers, but a lot of them kind of seem strange because you really like abruptly stop the pattern then. So I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do yet, but in the meantime, I cast on some lovely yarn, which was given to me by one of the podcast watchers, and this is Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift, and I have actually never knitted with this before. Until last night. So I have 4 colors of this, which are just beautiful together, I think. And you can see that I have knit some of them and ripped it out and rewound it back onto the ball. But I did because I was kind of just, unsure of what I wanted to do. And I was like, oh, I'll just start a cuff and, start knitting on something. But then I just wasn't sure if that's how I wanted it to be, and I didn't really have a pattern, and I didn't really have a clear idea of how I wanted it to turn out, so I stopped and pulled it out. I should have measured the gauge before I pulled it out. That would have been smart, but I didn't. So that was kind of unfortunate. But I hope to start another pattern soon, today maybe. Just in case you're interested, because these colors are so beautiful, I'll tell you what they are. This is 144, which is the turf color, which is a nice green. Then we have Twilight, which is number 175. And Surf, which is 135, which is a nice light blue. And Pebble, which is 127, which is a nice, just heathered grayish white, really nice neutral color. So I really want to make some gloves. I don't know if that's going to happen or, what those will look like exactly, but I've been looking on Pinterest and some old, Latvian and Estonian gloves. We will see. But I did go on Ravelry, was searching a lot, and I ended up purchasing some more of the Jameson's yarn, which will hopefully come this week. I got some more colors, and I am now really excited to knit the Neepheed, which is a tam hat by Kate Davies. And you probably have seen this hat. Kristen, also from Yarngasm, knit this hat a while ago, and I saw it on her podcast. It is a really nice colorwork hat, and it's shaped like a beret sort of style. And I'm still on the search for the perfect hat to wear with my curly hair so that it doesn't just crush my curls. And also, I don't know, I just think I look strange in hats. So I thought I would give another shape a try, to have it be a little bit more beret style instead of beanie. So we will see. I haven't decided if I'm going to cast that on with these. It calls for 4 colors, and I could cast it on with these 4 colors, or I could wait until my other colors come, because I think I would like to incorporate a mustardy yellow into the mix. So we will see. Hat and gloves are coming soon. That's the plan. So speaking of color work, I just wanted to give you a little tip, which I guess it could be a long story, but I'll try to make it short. So I was listening to the Knit Girls podcast. It was one of their recent episodes, but not the most recent one, and they were reviewing a book. I don't remember which book it is, but they had a quote from that book, which I was like, yes, thank you. So I wanted to share that with you, which is that Fair Isle is to color work as Kleenex is to tissue. So I'll say it again. Fair Isle is to color work as Kleenex is to tissue. Kleenex. I said that funny. Kleenex is to tissue. So I don't know why, but this is a major pet peeve of mine, which also, speaking of pet peeves, Pom Pom Quarterly has a new episode out, and in their episode, they did their top 3 pet peeves at the end. Anyway, so I thought this would be perfect to say this week. A lot of times people talk about color work. When they're talking about color work, and they mean stranded color work, they say Fair Isle. But Fair Isle is a very specific type of color work that comes from a specific place. So it's incorrect to say, it would be incorrect to say, oh, this Fair Isle sweater. This isn't a Fair Isle sweater. This is stranded color work. I don't know why that drives me crazy, but it does. So just a little public service announcement. There you go. That's all I'll say about it. Okay, so upcoming still, like I said, mittens or gloves and a hat. And I also need to start knitting Thomas's cowl because it's definitely getting cooler here, and I think that it will be nice for him to have in the mornings when it's quite chilly. Yeah, so those are my plans for this week. It will be a new week of school, so we will see if I get an episode in next weekend, depending on what the new workload is, but I hope to, of course. But in the meantime, I look forward to seeing your pictures on Instagram and Ravelry. And go on over to the Wool Barn shop if you are interested in doing a pre-order for the Dew Shawl Kit. And I think that's it. So until next time, happy knitting. Bye.